William Samoei.
In the highlands of Kenya's Rift Valley, amid these rolling farmlands and modest homes, a boy was born whose journey will take him from selling chickens by the roadside to leading a nation of over 50 million people. William Samoei Ruto, Kenya's fifth president, is a polarizing as he is persistent. To some, he is a self-made visionary. To others, a controversial political tactician. But no one disputes the impact he has done on Kenya's political narrative. Born on December 21st, 1966 in Kamagut village near Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, William Kipchirchir Samoei Ruto grew up in a modest family of smallholder farmers. His father, Daniel Cheruiyot, was a peasant farmer. His mother, Sarah Cheruiyot, a homemaker. Life was simple but disciplined. As a boy, Ruto sold chickens and groundnuts to contribute to the household, earning him the enduring moniker Hustler, which would later form the heart of his political identity. He belonged to the Nandi subgroup of the Kalenjin ethnic community, people known for their athletic prowess and political influence. Ruto's childhood was steeped in Christian values, and he was an active member of the African Inland Church. William Ruto's academic path reflected the same drive seen in his political career. After attending Kerotet Primary School and Wareng Secondary School, he joined Kapsabet Boys High School for his A-levels, an institution known for producing many of Kenya's elite leaders. He enrolled at the University of Nairobi, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Botany and Zoology. He later pursued a master's degree and finally a PhD in plant ecology, becoming one of the few serving African presidents with a doctorate in science. Ruto was methodical, inquisitive, and deeply analytical. Even then, he seemed to approach life not just as a student, as a strategist. Ruto's life is deeply anchored in family and faith. In 1991, he married Rachel Chebet, a devoted Christian known for her community work and woman empowerment programs.
Kwa hivyo kina mama, nataka tuweze hata tukifanya maneno yetu ya Joyful Women Organization na Mama Doing Good, tujue kwamba tuko na serikali ya ugatuzi na tuko na serikali kuu ambayo iko na kila kitu ambayo tunahitaji. Kwa sababu katika table banking, wakati inakuja kwamba zile fedha ambazo ziko katika meza hazitoshi kina mama wote, na itabidi kwamba tuweze kulete pesa zingine kutoka nje tuweka katika meza zenu ili muweze kwenda kufanya biashara zenu. Na kina mama, mama yoyote lazima akuwe na biashara. Na biashara sio lazima utoke kwako nyumbani uende mbali. Biashara ni nyingi. Nitakana uulize Mungu, biashara ambayo nitafanya ni nini? Ama useme kwamba wakati nilikuwa msichana mdogo, ni nini nilikuwa natamani kufanya na nimekosa kufanya? Na kama ukiona jirani yako anafanya kitu ambao unatamani kufanya, nenda akufundishe ndio uweze kufanya kwa njia ambayo ni nzuri. Kwa hivyo kina mama, kila mmoja wetu lazima tukue na biashara, ndio watoto wetu wasilale njaa. Usikue mama ambaye unakimbia kutafuta chakula, ilhali ukipata water tank kama vile first lady hapa ametuambia, unaweza kukua na maji na unaweza kukua na line 5 za sukuma wiki ama mboga ya managu na watoto wako pamoja na mume wako asisikie.
As First Lady, Rachel Ruto has championed clean energy, family wellness, and financial inclusion through table banking. Together, they have 7 children and maintaining a relatively private domestic life even as their public roles continue to grow. Ruto frequently credits his Christian faith as central to his worldview, often praying publicly and quoting scriptures, a trait that connects with many in the deeply religious nation.
I am truly, truly grateful that God has made it possible for us to come to church. I want to remind you as Christians that maybe I understand why Bosire is saying we should not speak politics, because many politicians don't know how to behave in church because they are not Christians. I remembered with a lot of nostalgia the camps we used to go when we were young people. And they were very edifying. In fact, I got saved as a Christian in a camp meeting in a place called Murgusi in Tarbo. I remember like it happened yesterday. It was the urge that I had today when I woke up to come to church, and I am happy that I got the privilege to attend church here in Lavington. Let me just finish by saying Matthew 6:33 says to all of us who are Christians, seek ye the kingdom of God first, and all else will be added unto you. I want to encourage us, even in the midst of many things, to remember to thank God for the many blessings He's bestowed upon us as a country. And it is my prayer as a Christian in this nation that God will guide us and the church will pray for our nation so that we can be a united nation and a nation that believes in God, and that all of us can trust God for the future of our nation.
Ruto's political rise began in the early 1990s during the one-party era. He gained national attention through the Youth for Kano 92, an aggressive political machine supporting President Daniel Arap Moi's re-election. The group was criticized for its method but proved a launching pad for Ruto's political career. In 1997, Ruto shocked Kenya's political class by defeating Reuben Chesire, a veteran aligned with Moi, to become member of parliament for Eldoret North.
Congratulations. Salat Nicholas Kipto Korir. Mimi Samuel William Ruto na hapa kwamba nitakuwa mwaminifu kwa rais na kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya na kuitumikia kwa moyo wangu wote, na kwamba nitaifadhi, nitailinda na kutetea katiba ya Kenya kwa mujibu wa sheria iliyowekwa. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu nisaidie. Congratulations, William. Samuel John Kipkorir.
From there, he climbed steadily. Minister for Home Affairs in 2002, Minister of Agriculture in 2008 to 2010, Minister of Higher Education, Science and Technology in 2010 to 2011. In 2013, Ruto became the Deputy President of Kenya, serving under President Uhuru Kenyatta in a power-sharing alliance.
I, William Samoei Ruto,
in full realization in full realization of the high calling.
In full realization of the high calling.
I assume as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
I assume as Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya.
Do
Do swear
that I will be faithful.
That I will be faithful.
And bear true allegiance.
And bear true allegiance.
To the Republic of Kenya.
To the Republic of Kenya.
That I will obey.
That I will obey.
Preserve.
Protect.
And defend this Constitution.
And defend this Constitution of Kenya as by law established.
And all other laws of the Republic.
And all other laws of the Republic.
And that I will protect and uphold.
And that I will protect and uphold.
The sovereignty.
Integrity.
And dignity of the people of Kenya.
And dignity of the people of Kenya.
So help me God.
So help me God. God turned every hurdle into a bridge. He turned every roadblock into a stepping stone and turned every challenge into an opportunity.
Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta, Rais wa Jamhuri, anamsalimia hivi sasa na kumpongeza Mheshimiwa William Ruto kuweza kuapishwa tayari kama naibu wa rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya.
That brought together rival ethnic blocs. The two will later fall out politically, setting the stage for the 2022 election.
Ndio mimi nasikitika hapo nikiona wengine ngwe mtu amekuwa huko amepewa kazi, badala ya kazi ni mdomo. Alafu sasa mimi tutafanya na kwa nini hukufanya wakati ulikuwa huko?
Nataka nimuombe rais wetu wa Kenya, tafadhali bwana rais, you shouldn't be the source of threats in Kenya. Wacha kutisha wa Kenya. Kazi yako ni kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wote wako salama. Wacha kutuambia ya kwamba tutakujua wewe ni rais. Sisi ndio tulikuchagua na tulikuchagua uwe rais wa Kenya. Wacha kututisha. Sisi hapana watu wa kutishwa. Kweli ama si kweli? Kweli ama si kweli? Tunaelewana? Na mimi nataka nimwambie rais, wacha kuniletea maneno my friend. Wewe sukuma candidate yako bwana kitendawili. Unaniongelea nini? Sijui kama tunaelewana. Mr. President, please stop talking about me. Talk about your candidate. Tunaelewana? Mtu waambie wewe rais, utuambie huyu mtu wa kitendawili atawacha kungoa reli lini? Atawacha kujiapisha lini? Atawacha kuvuruga Kenya lini? Atawacha mambo ya violence lini? Na utuambie agenda ya huyo jamaa. Wachana na William Ruto. I supported you when you needed a man to support you. If you do not want to support me, leave me alone.
Despite his notable achievements, William Ruto's political career has been repeatedly tested by scandal and controversy issues that have both tarnished and shaped his public and political identity over the years. During his tenure as Minister of Agriculture in 2009 under President Mwai Kibaki's government, Ruto was implicated in the mislocation of subsidized maize amidst a national food crisis.
The more than 3,000 milling companies in Parliament by the Agriculture Minister William Ruto, detectives investigating the maize scam have been dispatched to various towns in the country to interrogate the owners of the maize milling companies. A senior detective prior to the investigations said several sleuths from various units, including those from the Serious Crimes Unit, have been deployed to all towns where the milling company is operating from. Their first task is to establish if the said companies exist and who are the owners.
The Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, KACC, launched an investigation in alleged favoritism and irregularities in maize distribution, which many claimed disadvantaged vulnerable population. No formal charges were filed against Ruto.
Who must prove? This is not a criminal trial. This is political responsibility. It is the minister who must prove. It is not the person who is asking.
What about if those allegations are engineered by the very people who want to bring you down? Are you supposed to succumb?
The Minister of Justice should tell us, instead of complaining in the press, what practical steps she is taking to fight corruption.
I have discharged my responsibility as the Minister for Agriculture to the best of my ability, in the best way possible. And Mr. Speaker, if there was reason for me to resign, I would not spend 1 day or 1 minute waiting.
Order, honorable members. Honorable members, the results of the division are ayes 22, noes 119, abstentions 4, total 145. The noes have it. And consequently, the motion is lost.
However, Prime Minister Raila Odinga suspended him pending investigations.
If your ministry fails or your staff fails, you must take responsibility.
And though the president responded by suspending Professor Karega and 3 other permanent secretaries, Raila's move to suspend Professor Ongeri and William Ruto could be considered bold to some extent. But what are the political implications and the effect on the Grand Coalition government's resolve to fight corruption?
The suspension was later overturned by President Mwai Kibaki, which led to an executive standoff between the two top leaders.
Are for now the immediate concerns, and whether Raila will command the respect of the cabinet after President Kibaki disowned his decision to suspend the 2 cabinet ministers.
Highlighting internal government divisions. In 2010, while still serving as Agriculture Minister, Ruto was accused of illegally selling public land located in the Ngong Forest area, managed by the Kenya Forest Service. The allegation pointed to misuse of public resources and unlawful transaction benefiting private interests. Ruto was charged in court but ultimately acquitted due to insufficient evidence and the withdrawal of key witnesses. The case remains a reference point in discussions about land management and corruption in Kenya.
According to the charges by the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, William Ruto allegedly received 96 million shillings from the Kenya Pipeline Company after claiming he was in a position to sell 1.745 hectares of land in Ngong Forest that belonged to the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources 9 years ago. And Ruto had moved to the High Court seeking to stop the criminal charges on several grounds, and these included that the charges were discriminatory and were meant to finish him politically, since out of the 16 government departments involved in the transaction, other officials had not been charged. He argued offices such as the Chief Lands Registrar, the Director of Survey, Chief Valuer, the Director of Physical Planning and the City Council should also have been charged in relation to the alleged fraud. The Eldoret North MP also wanted the High Court to determine whether a commercial transaction involving public land and for which titles were issued with the approval of a head of state could amount to criminal act. But the 3-judge bench declined to stop the corruption charges against the minister and ruled that the case at the magistrates' court must proceed. Judges Jean Gasheshe, Roslyn Wendo and Lonan Jagi instead told Ruto to address any concerns to the trial court. According to the new constitution, any public officer who faces criminal charges, corruption or abuse of office shall be dismissed or otherwise removed from office.
After Kenya's devastating 2007 to 2008 post-election violence, William Ruto was charged by the International Criminal Court (ICC) with crimes against humanity. The charges include incitement and organizing violence, attacks during the disputed elections, and left over 100 people dead and displaced hundreds of thousands.
At 10:35 a.m. Kenya time, the ICC pre-trial chamber court session was called to order. The three suspects were here on time for their initial appearance, following summons to appear that were issued by the chamber on March 8th, following an application by prosecutor Luis Moreno Ocampo.
Good morning again.
Judge Ekaterina Trendafilova presided over the proceedings, and as serious as they were, a sense of humor laced some of the suspects' introductory notes, with both Sang and Ruto taking the earliest opportunity to pitch their defense.
An innocent person like me to be dragged all the way here, really, is a matter that baffles me.
I am an innocent journalist working with KSFM International.
I was born on 14th July 1947 in the source location, Nandi County, County of Nandi in Kenya.
Notably, during the introductions, one of Ruto's initial defense lawyers introduced himself as Sang's lead counsel.
My name is Katwa Kigan. I represent Mr. Joshua Sang together with my learned friend Mr. Kemutai Bosek. Both of us are members of the Kenyan Bar.
Ruto, on his part, had a Queen's Counsel to lead his defense, while Kosgei drew some of his legal defense from within the family by having his son Alan Kosgei as part of his team.
On behalf of William Samoei Ruto, he is represented today by myself, David Hooper, of the English Bar, and Mr. Kioko Kilikumi, who sits next to me, of the Kenyan Bar. And we are assisted by Professor Kithui Kindiki, who sits at the end of this bench.
My name is George Oraro. I am counsel for Honorable Kosgei. I'm a member of the Kenyan Bar. I am assisted in my team by Julius Kemboi, legal assistant, also a member of Kenyan Bar, and Alan Kosgei.
The chamber then proceeded to ask the suspects if they were aware of their rights. They all answered in the affirmative, but had additional comments, except for Kosgei, who kept his answers brief.
I've been sufficiently informed of my rights.
Yeah. One of the rights has been broken in terms of me getting the prosecutor interrogating me before coming here.
The proceedings then delved into the subject matter that took the three and a host of their supporters to The Hague.
There are reasonable grounds to believe that William Samoei Ruto is criminally responsible, Mr. Henry Kiprono Kosgei. Forcible transfer of population constituting a crime against humanity within the meaning of Article 7(1)(d. There are reasonable grounds to believe that Joshua Arap Sang.
All the three were informed of the accusations that the prosecutor is seeking to have them charged with, which include crimes against humanity in the form of murder, forcible displacement of populations, and persecution.
To me, the allegations that have been made here sounds to me like they can only be possible in a movie.
During this initial hearing, the court fixed the date for the next stage of the proceedings.
The judges of this bench have decided to set the date of 1st September 2011 for the commencement of the confirmation hearing.
A confirmation of charges hearing is held to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to establish substantial grounds to believe that each suspect committed each of the crimes being charged. If the charges are confirmed, then pre-trial chamber commits the person to trial before a trial chamber.
Thank you.
And in just over 50 minutes, the session was over. Judge Hans Peter Kaul, who maintains that the crimes committed in Kenya in 2007-2008 do not meet the ICC threshold, is part of the three-judge bench that will determine whether prosecution has a case against the three suspects or not. The other judge is Kuno Tarfusa, who together with Ekaterina Trendafilova arrived at the majority decision to the contrary and carried the day. Sylvia Chebet, Citizen Live at 9.
The ICC case collapsed in 2006 amidst a lack of sufficient evidence and allegations of witness interference and intimidation. Though legally cleared, the case continues to carry political sensitive and affect Ruto's image, especially among victims of the violence and political opponents. Ruto has also faced accusation regarding the ownership of the land on which Weston Hotel, a prominent property in Nairobi, stands. The land is alleged to have been illegally acquired from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority. He maintains that the purchase was made in good faith, legally and transparently. The matter remains unsolved in court and continues to attract public scrutiny, raising concerns about land ownership and transparency among Kenyans' political
Weston
elite.
Hotel is a big story. The National Land Commission has made a finding that Weston was an innocent purchaser for value from somebody who got it illegally. And reparations have been made constitutionally to restore that land to Kenya Civil Aviation Authority by demanding that those who sold the land to us must pay.
I have interest in Weston Hotel.
You have interest in
Weston Hotel is completely different from Langata Road Primary School. Each one has its own title. The title for Langata Road Primary School is in court. The owner of Langata Road Primary School is in court, still claiming ownership of the school.
Though not directly implicated in corruption charges, several controversial multi-billion shilling dam projects under the Jubilee government, during which Ruto served as deputy president, collapsed or stalled amid allegations of corruption and mismanagement. Key officials linked to these projects were arrested and prosecuted, but Ruto defended the projects and distanced himself from any wrongdoing.
For example, that the government has lost 21 billion in Kimwarer and Aror Dam, which is a flat lie. The money in question is about 7 billion. And for every coin that has been paid, we have a bank guarantee. No money will be lost because we are a responsible government. We have engaged every arm of government to make sure that public resources are safe, and therefore the correct information must be used as we target the fight against corruption so that we can nail the true culprits. Sometimes when we say 9 billion has been lost, and then when it goes to court, it is 100 million. The public is asking, what happened to 8.1 billion? So we shoot ourselves in the foot.
Despite persistent scandals, Ruto's political instinct never dulled. He rebranded as a champion of the hustler, the ordinary citizen struggling against entrenched political dynasties. In 2022, under the United Democratic Alliance order, he ran on a bottom-up economic model.
Mungu huinua wanyonge kutoka mavumbini, na huyo Mungu humfanya fukara na maskini wakaketi meza moja na wafalme. And that is the basis of what we are discussing, that it is possible for us to lift the jobless, to lift the people with small businesses, and we can all move together without leaving anybody behind. And it is my prayer that God will give us the wherewithal, the knowledge, the capacity to be able to lift men and women in accordance with His word.
Appealing to youth, small traders and rural voters, he won a narrow but decisive victory over long-time opposition leader Raila Odinga.
In accordance with the law, the constitution and the law, I, Wafula Chebukati, chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, hereby declares that Ruto William Samoei of ID number 6847208 has been duly elected as the President of the Republic of Kenya under the provisions of Article 138 of the Constitution in the presidential election held on 9th of day of August 2022.
When William Ruto stood on the stage at Kasarani Stadium in September 2022, hand on the Bible, flanked by his family and supporters, the moment marked more than just a presidential inauguration. It was the culmination of a political journey powered by defiance, faith, and shrewd calculation. President Ruto's rise was as much about narrative as it was about policy. His Hustler Nation mantra promised to upend entrenched dynasties and uplift the ordinary Kenyan. Backed by the United Democratic Alliance and the Kenya Kwanza Coalition, Ruto pledged to deliver the bottom-up economic transformation agenda known as BETA. During his rallies, his key promises included launching a hustler fund for small businesses, cutting the cost of living on food and fuel, creating jobs through housing, agriculture, and the digital economic, strengthening judiciary independence alongside police reform. But while he campaigned as a reformer, leading will demand more than slogan. Barely months into his presidency, Ruto faced economic headwinds, spiraling debt, a weakening shilling, and inflation that pushed basic commodities beyond the reach of millions. In December 2022, the Hustler Fund was launched, mobile loans for millions, praised by some and criticized by others.
Leo tumekuja katika sherehe hii ya kuzindua rasmi fund ama hazina ambayo itashughulika na wananchi wa kawaida pale chini katika taifa letu la Kenya. Fund hii ama hazina hii, chanzo chake ni kwamba tulitembea sehemu nyingi ya taifa letu la Kenya, na kila sehemu wananchi wa Kenya walituwa na ndio tukakubaliana na wao ya kwamba serikali ya Kenya itatengeneza hazina maalum ambayo itamwezesha mwananchi wa kawaida asiyekuwa na anwani ama address, asiyekuwa na hati miliki ya shamba ama kitu kingine chochote, mwenye hana logbook, mwenye hana ndugu ambaye anajulikana, yule mwananchi wa kawaida pia na yeye anaweza kupata pesa.
It symbolized both hope and the limits of microfinance. The administration slashed fuel subsidies, cut public spendings, and introduced controversial taxes to meet IMF conditions. These moves triggered deep public backlash. His defenders said reform was essential, but for everyday Kenyans, pain came before progress. In mid-2024, Kenya exploded the spark. The Financial Bill 2024, a set of sweeping tax proposals from June 18th to August 8th, 2024, the nation witnessed one of the largest youth-led uprisings in modern history. But this wasn't politics as usual. There were no politicians on the podiums, only Gen Zs and phones organized via TikTok, X, and Instagram. The protests peaked on June 25th when demonstrators stormed Parliament in scenes reminiscing of global insurrections. Police opened fire, blood spilled on national television. This protest led to 39 deaths, 361 plus injuries reported by KNCHR. An independent police briefing citing 42 deaths, 347 civilians injured, 495 police injuries, and 1,552 arrests. At least 32 abducted or disappeared, with over 34 tortured, some students, some civil society leaders. Government response included deployment of riot gear, water cannons, tear gas, and live bullets, along with internet throttling and blackout attempts. Mass abductions and arrests were officially reported between 283 and 627. Facing rising outrage, President Ruto declined to sign the bill on the June 26th.
Consequently, having reflected on the continuing conversation around the content of the Finance Bill 2024 and listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill, and it shall subsequently be withdrawn, and I have agreed with these members that that becomes our collective position.
By June 28, the Financial Bill 2024 was scrapped. The protesters had won, but the scars remained. Then came the reckoning. In a national television address, President Ruto dismissed all cabinet secretaries and the Attorney General. This was in direct response to the swelling public outrage and the chants from protesters. Dissolved the cabinet. Ruto complied. On July 11, 2024, he officially vacated the positions of 21 cabinet secretaries and the Attorney General. Among those dismissed were key allies, including Kithure Kindiki, who was the Minister of Interior and National Administration, Moses Kuria, who was the Minister of Public Service and Delivery, Adan Duale, who was the Minister of Defense, Alfred Mutua, who was the Minister of Tourist and Wildlife, Kipchumba Murkomen, who was the Minister of Roads and Transport, and Aisha Jumwa, who was the Minister of Gender, Culture and Heritage. Only two leaders remains in their position. Musalia Mudavadi, who was the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Foreign Affairs, and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, constitutionally protected. The move was unprecedented in Kenya's history. It signaled a president under siege, but also one willing to reset. Ruto vowed to build a leaner, more efficient and more inclusive government. Only July 19th, 2024, amid intense consultations, he reinstated 6 former cabinet secretaries, including Kithure Kindiki, Adan Duale, and Soipan Tuya. Others were replaced like Aisha Jumwa, some from opposition, in a bold attempt to rebuild public trust and forge national unity. Just a year later, in June 2025, protests erupt again. This time, the sparks was the custodial death of Albert Ojwang, a blogger and teacher alleged tortured to death in police custody. But beneath the outrage lay deeper wounds: persistent economic hardship, police brutality, enforced disappearance, and corruption. By June 30th, 2025, at least 20 killed, over 500 injured, and 57 abductions reported during the 2024 protest, with 26 still missing and 6 confirmed dead. Once more, Gen Z led the charge online, in the streets, and across borders. The cry was no longer just about taxes. It was about accountability, dignity, and justice.
We had politicians who were very proud, talking at us, asking us mutadu. We had politicians who didn't even care about what the common mananchi was going through. So that is the reason we went to the streets.
Last year we were termed as treasonous criminals. This year we have been termed as terrorists who are attempting to overthrow the government. Yet in real sense, we are just trying to bring out our voices. The government thinks we're so idle. They think we're noisemakers. They think, for lack of a better word, we're stupid. They think we have nothing in between our brains. We have a government that is adamant on doing what they want and not working with the people to get this country moving. For instance, we were demanding for end of abductions and end of police brutality. None of that has been done. In fact, they keep raising the bar higher, like I was telling you earlier. Now people are dying in police custody.
We are still seeing politicians talking the way they want, talking at us. We are still seeing lack of priority in government, more allocations to State House and leaving school feeding program, leaving primary health care. So there is still a lot that has not been done. And on justice of the 60 who died, only one inquiry, only one out of 60.
As Kenya rolled at home, Ruto projected confidence abroad. He hosted the Africa Climate Summit in 2023, demanded climate justice and sought reforms in global financial institutions.
Thank you very much, Professor Orama. As I said this morning, how do we move from potential to opportunity? And how do we turn the opportunities we have into jobs, into investments, and into industrialization, manufacturing, and growth? That's really what we need to do. And front and center is the big elephant. Where is the money going to come from? How are we going to finance our transition from opportunity to growth? In my opinion, there are 3 areas that we need to focus. Number 1, we need to focus on where do we find money or resources or financing, number 1, at scale, and number 2, that is affordable, and number 3, that is accessible. And that is why we have insisted that while we appreciate the contribution of our multilateral development institutions, the current financial architecture to support our progress, what they are doing is good, but it is insufficient because our current challenges are compounded. We're not dealing with a normal situation. We're not dealing with the situation for which these institutions were built.
In 2024, he became one of few African leaders invited for a state visit to the US, discussing digital infrastructures and regional security. But foreign success did little to calm unrest at home. Throughout 2023 and 2024, Ruto faced sustained opposition from Raila Odinga and civil society groups. Balanced dialogue under NADCO aimed to ease tensions, but progress was halting. With each protest wave, Ruto reshuffled his ministers, held town hall meetings, and opened public dialogues. He framed himself as a reformer and as such, insisting no pain, no gain. But the disconnect was clear. The hustler nation had become restless. Despite the turbulence, Ruto leaned into his roots. A devout evangelical, he regularly preached moral responsibility, often using the pulpit to signal political direction. Behind the podium, Ruto often reflected, "I am a testimony that God and hard work can take you far." But now, faith alone could not quiet the protests. The presidency is often won through strategy, but it is kept through service. For William Ruto, the path from chicken seller to president was always paved with fight, faith, and force of will. But at the midpoint of his term, the real battle was trust. Trust lost, trust fractured, and trust fighting to be rebuilt. The finance bill protests of 2024 were a reckoning. Kenya's youth had found their voice and they would not be ignored. Ruto retreated, recalibrated, relented. But for many, it was too late. The question had already taken root. Was this the man who will lead a new Kenya, or had he become everything he promised to replace? From Kamagut's dust paths to the marbled floors of Taste House, William Ruto's story is still unfolding. In a country where memory is political and legacy is contested, the hustler-in-chief now faces his greatest challenge, not winning power, but using it to serve. In the end, every presidency becomes a mirror. It reflects who we are, what we accept, what we reject, and what we are willing to fight for. Ruto's mirror reflects a nation in motion, divided yet determined, exhausted yet unbroken. Legacy is not about where you start or what you promise. It is what you leave behind when the noise fades. The hustler's journey is not over, but the nation is watching.